Vanity Fair criticized Melania Trump's new book, calling it poorly done. However, what some reviewers might not understand is that it's more than just a book, it's also tied to a fragrance. It supposedly smells like Slovenian prenuptial agreement ink. Her Be Best campaign was viewed as one of the most ironic efforts ever by a first lady. People found it contradictory, encouraging kindness online while being married to someone widely known for being a prominent figure in online conflict. It was compared to promoting a health routine while the spouse considers walking to the buffet enough exercise. Because of this contradiction, many didn't take the campaign seriously. Jimmy Kimmel highlighted this irony, using it as comedic material. Jim Carrey portrayed Melania as a reluctant supporting character in a political drama, suggesting she was present but emotionally distant, playing the role of First Lady with little engagement. Her public interactions, like avoiding hand-holding with her husband, were widely discussed. These moments were seen less as rejection and more as instinctive behavior, similar to avoiding touching a public restroom door handle. And one satirical piece, her favorite memory as First Lady was described as the time in 2020 when Donald Trump was hospitalized. The scene was exaggerated, describing a backyard party with fireworks and her enjoying time alone in the White House, though this was clearly meant to be humorous, not factual. Jim Carrey didn't just mimic Trump. He exaggerated his expressions to bring out absurd aspects of his persona. Trump is portrayed as a consistent source of material for comedians. Kimmel suggested Trump would deny watching comedy about himself, but then stay up late posting about it and even threaten legal action, seen as a sign of being affected by it. Carrey's and Kimmel's portrayals are depicted as sharp and focused, aiming not just for laughs but for commentary. They presented Trump as outdated and erratic. In a hypothetical comedic exaggeration, one might even suggest he wears diapers and consumes large amounts of Diet Coke to stay awake, though this is clearly satire. Kimmel's humor is described as direct and precise, targeting Trump's sensitivity to criticism. It's suggested that Trump's ego could be triggered by even minor headlines. His reactions on social media are compared to emotional responses from a teenager upset by being ignored. During a public appearance in Charleston, South Carolina, Trump reportedly spoke about his golf game and appearance in old photos. Meanwhile, Melania's past public moments, including avoiding his hand, raised questions about her enthusiasm for her role in Marriage. Her demeanor was compared to an actress tired of a long-running role but continuing for practical reasons. Her hand-avoiding gestures were likened to skilled escape techniques. Even after years, Trump is portrayed as not picking up on her body language. Self-awareness is noted as something he lacks. The comedians, Kimmel and Carrey, are seen as turning Trump into a constant source of comedic material. Despite any public complaints or online posts, it's suggested there is little he can do to stop it. In closing, the piece reflects on the current political and social climate, describing it as chaotic. It humorously asks whether someone should try resetting the country like a device, and reminds us that voting should not define who we are. Just because you voted Republican doesn't mean you're stupid, different, or worthless. I could share a meal with anyone who voted for Trump. Carrey and Kimmel didn't just poke fun at Donald and Melania, they turned it into a full-scale national roast. This wasn't just satire anymore, it felt like a symbolic burning away of the Trump family's ego. The universe operated by the same rules as late-night television. This would be the season finale, no need for behind-the-scenes direction. Carrey, like a cartoon character come to life, turned every joke into something surreal and artistic. Kimmel, on the other hand, sliced through Trump's ego as easily as a hot knife through butter. The result? A metaphorical knockout so intense that even Trump's most devoted supporters seemed to shrink away, pretending to look for something under the table. But when the cameras are on, wow, they can't get enough of what he says. We are going to conquer new scientific frontiers, lead humanity into space, plant the American flag on Mars, and beyond. This was a moment for big dreams and bold action. So, Carrey and Kimmel joined forces, targeting Donald and Melania like a wrestling duo stepping onto a stage. But instead of physical blows, they used comedy. Carrey, like a living caricature artist, exaggerated Trump's image with only his face and bursts of laughter. Kimmel smoothly roasted the Trump family as if he were preparing a perfectly cooked Thanksgiving meal. No extra sauce needed. As for the Trumps, if looks could file lawsuits, the courtroom would have had a special session. Melania versus jokes about my husband, Trump said. Jimmy Kimmel's a loser. If I hadn't helped him out, he'd be on the sidewalk. Trump claimed Kimmel would welcome him every time. There's also a focus on how Melania is portrayed. Often seen in the background, almost as if she were generated by artificial intelligence, she wasn't spared. Kimmel skillfully joked about her robotic demeanor, enough to make the audience wonder silently, does she really want to be here, or is she dreaming of a one-way flight back to Slovenia, behind her oversized sunglasses? Bigger than Trump's hopes for a second term, Melania might have been glaring out at the world. Maybe she's even planning a new version of her campaign, not to encourage good behavior, but to stop her husband from tweeting at 3 a.m., a campaign many might actually support. The show also criticized a kind of capitalism that lacks conscience. It showed the common person being ground down by the harsh machine of the industrial age. It took aim at the worst elements of the American right wing: hatred of immigrants, rejection of truth, greed, and the misuse of power. Problems we still face today. Perhaps the most striking part, Kerry and Kimmel didn't need to invent anything. No exaggeration, no fiction. They simply held up a mirror, and Trump did the rest. It felt like he was made to be the lead in an old black and white comedy, a walking, tweeting, self-sabotaging parody. The issue? We used to laugh with him. Now, the whole world is laughing at him. The political conflict between Trump and Hollywood hasn't really ended. But who knows what truly goes on behind the White House doors? Back in 2017, Meryl Streep surprised both Hollywood and Washington with her speech at the Golden Globe Awards. While accepting the Cecil B. DeMille Award, she used the moment to criticize Trump, particularly for mocking a disabled reporter during his campaign. You've got to see this guy. Oh, I don't know what I said. I don't remember. It broke her heart to watch, and it stuck with her, because it wasn't a performance. It was real life. When someone in power chooses to humiliate others, it affects everyone. It sends a message that disrespect is acceptable. Disrespect invites more disrespect. Violence leads to more violence. Violence occurs when those in power use their position to intimidate others. Meryl Streep didn't directly criticize Trump, but her message was clear. Dehumanizing actions not only damage the image of a presidential candidate but also affect society as a whole. This highlighted the stark difference between Trump's leadership style and what Streep, and many Americans, expected from a president. Naturally, Donald Trump didn't remain silent. Within hours, he responded strongly on Twitter. He called Meryl Streep one of the most overrated actresses in Hollywood and claimed she didn't know him but still attacked him. These remarks sparked public backlash and made Trump an even bigger target for criticism. Instead of calming the situation, his continued tweets only increased public support for Meryl Streep. This is typical behavior from Trump. Each time he responds to criticism, it only draws more criticism toward him. The more he reacted, the more he backed himself into a corner. Beyond politics, the relationship between Melania and Donald Trump has also drawn attention. Despite being the First Lady, Melania maintained a quiet and distant presence, which kept the public curious. Rumors circulated that the couple lived separately, as Melania delayed moving into the White House to let their son finish the school year. This led to questions about whether their relationship was strong or simply strategic. Melania once said, "This time, I know where I'm going. I know the rooms we'll be living in." The first time was challenging. We didn't have much of the information. The information was withheld from us by the previous administration. But this time, I have everything. I have the plans. I've already packed. I've already chosen the furniture. It's very different. As First Lady, Melania kept a reserved demeanor. While she appeared at public events, she rarely seemed involved in political matters or publicly supported her husband. Reports even suggested she avoided his political rallies during the 2020 campaign, which raised more questions about her intentions. Then came the jacket with the phrase, "I really don't care, do you?" worn during her visit to detention centers for migrant children. This created a media storm. At a time when people were outraged over the Trump administration's family separation policy, the jacket seemed to show a lack of concern about a serious issue. It damaged Melania's public image and raised concerns about her sensitivity. While Melania promoted her Be Best initiative against online bullying, many pointed out the contradiction. Her husband, Donald Trump, often used social media to post harsh and insulting messages. This made the campaign seem ironic, as she advocated for kindness while Trump continued to criticize others online. Seen the conflict between Trump and Hollywood, but the question remains, is Melania truly silent just to maintain appearances, or is it part of a long-term strategy we don't yet understand? In just 24 hours, over 5 million views, 350,000 social media mentions, and thousands of comments flooded the internet, not from the White House, but from a Hollywood legend, Robert De Niro. What made America take notice was when he called the former president a dangerous man. "It's like he wants to do the worst things he can think of just to provoke us," De Niro said. "I don't know why, but he keeps doing it, and it's frightening." With a cold and serious tone, De Niro didn't hold back. He called Donald Trump, the leader of the MAGA movement, a liar and a fraud. He criticized campaign promises like the border wall and the economy as political tricks meant to mislead voters. His words struck a chord with millions of Americans. According to Pew Research projections from late 2024, 62% of Americans believed their leaders acted in their own interest rather than for the public good. De Niro's blunt statements reflected a growing sense of betrayal, and social media amplified this public frustration. "Do you think our democracy is at risk in this election?" he was asked. "I think it is," he replied. "I always say, democracy.